And all present here. Today we are going to discuss famous romantic comedy or romantic tragedies of Shakespeare, that is Romeo and Juliet. In the streets of Verona, another brawl breaks out between the servants of feuding noble families of Capulet and Montague. Benvolio, a Montague, tries to stop the fighting, but he himself embroiled when Tybalt, a rash Capulet, arrives on the scene. After citizens outraged by a constant violence beat back the warring factions, Prince Escalus, the ruler of Verona, attempts to prevent any further conflicts between the families by decreeing death of any individual who disturbs the peace into future. Romeo, the son of Montague, runs into his cousin Benvolio, who had earlier seen Romeo mopping in a grove of sycamores. After some prodding by Benvolio, Romeo confides that he is in love with Rosalind, a woman who does not return his affections. Benvolio counsels him to forget this woman and find another, more beautiful one, but Romeo remains despondent. Meanwhile, Paris, a kinsman of Prince, seeks Juliet's hand in marriage. Her father, Capulet, though happy to match, asks Paris to wait 2 years, since Juliet is not yet even 14. Capulet dispatches a servant with a list of people to invite to a masquerade and feast he traditionally holds. He invites Paris to the feast, hoping that Paris will begin to win Juliet's heart. Romeo and Benvolio, still discussing Rosalind, encounter the Capulet servant bearing the list of invitations. Benvolio suggests that they attend, since that will allow Romeo to compare his beloved to other beautiful women of Verona. Romeo agrees to go with Benvolio to the feast, but only because Rosalind, whose name he reads on the list, will be there. In Capulet's household, young Juliet talks with her mother, Lady Capulet, and her nurse about the possibility of marrying Paris. Juliet has not yet considered marriage, but agrees to look at Paris during the feast to see if she thinks that she could fall in love with him. The feast began. A melancholy Romeo follows Benvolio and their witty friend Mercutio to Capulet's house. Once inside, Romeo sees Juliet from the distance and instantly falls in love with her. He forgets about Rosalind completely as Romeo watches Juliet, entranced a young Capulet. A Tybalt recognizes him and is enraged that a Montague would sneak into Capulet's feast. He prepares to attack, but Capulet holds him back soon. Romeo speaks to Juliet, and the two experiences profound attraction. They kiss, not even knowing each other's name. When he finds out from Juliet's nurse that she is a daughter of Capulet, his family enemy, he becomes distraught. When Juliet learns that the young man she has just kissed is the son of Montague, she grows up equally upset. As Mercutio and Benvolio leave the Capulet estate, Romeo leaps over the orchard wall into the garden, unable to leave Juliet behind. From his hiding place, he sees Juliet in a window above the orchard and hears her speak his name. He calls out to her and they exchange vows of love. Romeo hurries to see his friend and confessor, Friar Lawrence, who, though shocked at the sudden turn of Romeo's heart, agrees to marry the young lovers in secret, since he sees in their love the possibility of ending the old age feud between Capulet and Montague. The following day, Romeo and Juliet meet at Friar Lawrence's cell and are married. The nurse, who is privy to the secret, procures a ladder which Romeo will use it to climb into Juliet's window for their wedding night. The next day, Benvolio and Mercutio encounter Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, who is still enraged that Romeo attended Capulet's feast, has challenged Romeo to a duel. Romeo appears, now Tybalt's kinsman by marriage. Romeo begs the Capulet to hold off the duel until he understands why Romeo does not want to fight. Disgusted with the plea for peace, Mercutio says that he will fight Tybalt himself. The two begin to duel. Romeo tries to stop them by leaping between the combatants. Tybalt stabs Mercutio under Romeo's arms, and Friar Lawrence arranges for Romeo to spend his wedding night with Juliet before he has to leave for Mantua the following morning. In the room, Juliet awaits the arrival of her new husband. Nurse enters and Nurse enters and after some confusion tells Julio that Romeo has killed. So now Romeo he comes to Juliet's room at the night and learns that her father, affected by the recent event, that unable to reveal her parents that she is married to Romeo, but unwilling to marry Paris, now she is Romeo's wife. Juliet asks a nurse for advice. So disgusted with the nurse disloyalty, so Juliet disregards her advice and hurries off to Friar Lawrence. As she is laid to rest in the family crypt, the friar Romeo will secretly retrieve her and she will be free to live with Romeo away from her parents' feuding. So Juliet returns home to discover the wedding has been moved ahead already and she is to be married tomorrow. The night Juliet drinks the potion and the nurse discovers her apparently dead. The next morning, Capulets grieve that Juliet is entombed according to plan. But Friar Lawrence's message explaining the plan to Romeo never reaches Mantua. It bears Friar John gets confined to a quatrained house. Romeo hears that Juliet is dead. So finally Romeo comes to see Juliet and finds Juliet dead. Now she and they fight and Romeo kills Paris. He enters the tomb and Juliet's inanimate body drinks the poison and dies by her side. So at the same time, Juliet awakes. Friar Lawrence hears coming of the watch. When Juliet refuses to leave with him, he flees alone. Juliet sees her beloved Romeo, realizes he has killed himself with poison. She kisses his poisoned lips, and when that does not kill her, buries his dagger in her chest, falling dead upon his body. So now at the end of the play, it is we come to know that how the feud between Capulet and Montague, they agreed to end their long-standing feud. Thank you.